Good evening to all. The most top class actor in the world, Sivaji Ganesan fans who belong to Durban of South Africa. In every Nadigar Thilagam Sivaji Ganesan any meeting, I used to sing a song from Karnan movie that Sivaji Ganesan acted as a Karnan, the hero of the Dikasa of Mahabharata. So I used to sing that song. So with all your permission, I am going to sing that. ஆயிரம் கரங்கள் நீட்டி அணைக்கின்ற தாயே போற்றி, அருள் பொங்கும் முகத்தை காட்டி இருள் நீக்கம் தந்தாய் போற்றி, தாயினும் பரிந்து சால சகலரை அணைப்பாய் போற்றி, தழைக்கும் போர் உயிர்கட்கெல்லாம் துணைக்கரம் கொடுப்பாய் போற்றி, தூயவர் இதயம் போல துலங்கிடும் ஒளியே போற்றி, தூரத்தே நெருப்பை வைத்து சாரத்தை தருவாய் போற்றி, ஞாயிறே நலமே வாழ்க நாயகன் வடிவே போற்றி, நானிலம் உழலால் மட்டும் போற்றுவோம் போற்றி போற்றி.
Thank you.
மிக்க நன்றி ஐயா. Friends, and now part of the Sivaji family, if I can call you all that. It's wonderful to be part of this program. And when Dr. Mohan approached me, I thought it was a great idea. Firstly, because many of us, most of us, certainly all the people on our program tonight would have engaged or been part of that Sivaji Ganesan era, if I can call it that. And secondly, perhaps more importantly, whenever I am or I interact with my Indian friends from Chennai or from anywhere in India, there's always an element of surprise as to the surprise about the number of people in South Africa, the number of South Indians, the emotional ties that we still have to India, the religious practices, the cultural practices, and they always get a bit surprised. So a lot of the Tamil diaspora around the world are not totally aware of the diaspora and the extent to which the diaspora in South Africa are still emotionally tied with India, the film industry, the songs, and so on. So therefore, I thought this is a great opportunity for us to engage in this manner, and perhaps what greater bond or common denominator that we can have than our great hero Sivaji Ganesan, who means so many things to so many people. The few people that I have gathered here today as our guests to speak, 5 or 6 people, the one common denominator is that they are all very, very strong cultural activists. They come from different backgrounds, different academic backgrounds, but the one great thing, the one great denominator is that they are all involved in one way or the other, more than most people, in the Tamil cultural activity. So that, I think from that perspective, we have a very, very good grouping of people who would offer their perspective of the impact of Sivaji Ganesan on our entertainment lives. And ultimately, I guess that is the purpose today, perhaps the objective of the discussion here today, that Dr. Maruthu Mohan could add to his anthology of experiences, an anthology of testimonies from around the Tamil diaspora on the impact of our great Sivaji Ganesan. So with that introduction, and I must also, Mala, are you still not hearing us? Or are you still not able to speak with us? Okay, Mala was supposed to give us a good Thin Tamil welcome, but we'll have to skip that for the time being. But if Mr. Prabhu and Mr. Ramkumar. Mr. Ramkumar, I beg your pardon, and Mr. Prabhu, sons of the great Sivaji Ganesan, we are absolutely privileged to have you and to engage with you through this forum. We do hope that one day you will visit South Africa and hear firsthand the impact that your father, your great father, had on all of us. And on behalf of the South Africans, I would like to say Vanakkam, welcome, and it is an absolute pleasure to be in your company.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Ramkumar here.
I can never. Mr. Ramkumar, Vanakkam, sir.
Vanakkam.
Vanakkam. I think we would like to, Mr. Ramkumar, at this stage, after we've all spoken, we'd like to perhaps hear from you in rounding up your response to what you would hear during the course of our discussion today.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Let's
Fine.
hear all of
Good.
you.
Thank you. And so with that, our first item on our program is a special address by Mr. Prabhu. Mr. Prabhu, if he's available.
Bala, Mr. Is there any?
I'm afraid Prabhu is not well, but he has sent his recording. I have to play it now.
Okay.
Hold on, please.
வணக்கம். நான் தான் உங்க பிரபு பேசுறேன். வணக்கம். நமது ஐயா நடிகர் திலகத்தோட 93வது பிறந்த நாளை முன்னிட்டு ஒரு அருமையான ஜூம் மீட்டிங் ஏற்பாடு பண்ணியிருக்கார் என் அருமை அண்ணன் டாக்டர் மருதுமோகன் அவர்கள். அதுவும் நான் இதை பார்த்த உடனே எனக்கு ரொம்ப த்ரில் ஆயிட்டேன். ஏன்னா நான் சின்ன பிள்ளையில அப்பாவை பார்க்கக்கூடிய ரசிகர்கள் டர்பன்ல இருந்து நிறைய வருவாங்க. வந்துட்டு எங்களெல்லாம் கட்டி பிடிச்சு போட்டோ எடுத்துட்டு போவாங்க. அப்புறம் சொல்லுவாங்க, நாங்க எங்க பசங்களுக்கெல்லாம் உங்க படங்களை நிறைய பார்க்க சொல்லுவோம். ஏன்னா காரணம் நம்மளோட பண்பாடுகள் கலாச்சாரம் எல்லாமே சிவாஜி ஐயாவோட படங்கள் மூலமாக நாங்க கத்துக்கிறது மட்டும் இல்லாம அது எங்களுக்கு எங்க பசங்க கிட்ட இதெல்லாம் சொல்றதுக்காக நல்ல அருமையான மேட்டர்கள்லாம் உங்க படத்துல இருக்குன்னு அடிக்கடி சொல்லிட்டு போவாங்க. அந்த வகையில இன்னைக்கு அப்பா மேல உள்ள பிரியத்துல கொஞ்ச நேரம் அப்பாவை பத்தி பேசுறதுக்காக இந்த ஜூம் மீட்டிங்ல வர இருக்கும் என் அருமை சகோதரி மாலா லட்சுமணன் அவர்கள், சகோதரர் தேவன் நாயர் அவர்கள், சகோதரர் கிரு நாயுடு அவர்கள், சகோதரர் பூபாலன் பிள்ளை அவர்கள், சகோதரர் கிருஷ்ணன் நாயர் அவர்கள், சகோதரர் டாக்டர் சிவா பிள்ளை அவர்கள், சகோதரர் செல்வம் நாயுடு அவர்கள், சகோதரர் சாலமன் பார்த்தசாதி பிள்ளை அவர்கள், உங்கள் எல்லாருக்கும் எங்கள் அன்னையத்தின் சார்பாக நாங்க நன்றி சொல்லணும். இதுல சீஃப் கெஸ்டா வரக்கூடியவர் என் அருமை சம்பந்தி, அதாவது என் மருமகளோட அப்பா டாக்டர் மதிவானன் அவர்கள், அவருக்கும் நன்றி சொல்லணும். நீங்க எல்லாரும் அப்பா மேல எந்த அளவுக்கு பிரியம் வச்சிருக்கீங்கிறது எனக்கு தெரியும். நீங்க எல்லாரும் உங்க மனசுல பட்டதை, சிவாஜி அவர்களை பத்தி மனசுல பட்டதை பேச போறீங்க. அண்ட் இதனால நாங்கெல்லாம் அன்னை இல்லத்துல லட்சக்கணக்கான நடிகர் திலகத்தோட ரசிகர்கள் மனசுல எல்லாரும் அப்பா நம்ம கூட தான் வாழ்ந்து கொண்டு இருக்கிறாருங்கிற நம்பிக்கையோடு நாங்களாம் வாழ்ந்துட்டு இருக்கோம். உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் என்னோட மனமார்ந்த நன்றி. எங்கள் வீடு அன்னை இல்லத்தின் சார்பாக, எங்கள் குடும்பத்தின் சார்பாக, லட்சக்கணக்கான நடிகர் திலகத்தின் ரசிகர்கள் சார்பாக உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் என்னோட மனமார்ந்த நன்றியும் வாழ்த்துக்கள் தெரிவிச்சுக்கிறேன். வணக்கம்.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you.
Solomon Bob.
Thank you. A very, very brief interpretation. He's thanked all of us. He spoke of his father, who often spoke about Durban, and his father apparently used to speak to him about the population and the viewers in Durban and the supporters in each one of us personally, and he's thanked Dr. Mohan for arranging this Zoom conference. I think we hopefully we'll have this recording of this sent to him at some stage, Dr. Mohan, so that he could hear personally.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, then if we could follow that, please, then with Shri Ramkumar, who's the elder son of Sivaji, our great Sivaji. And sir, it's our honor to hear you address us, us South Africans of Indian origin, as we call them.
Yes. Hello, everybody in South Africa. We do know a lot about South Africa here in India. We've been hearing a lot about you all in the past many years. From the late 60s and the early 70s, there used to be a lot of people coming from South Africa who used to come home and meet my parents, my mother and father. And my mother especially had a number of friends in South Africa. We unfortunately, about 20 years ago, we lost touch with almost all of them. There was Mr. Naidu, I think you all might know. He's a famous restaurateur and all that. And then there was Dr. Wandiar, and there were so many other people. My mother had a big list of names. And my father and mother always wanted to go to South Africa. But unfortunately, my father, due to certain reasons, couldn't visit South Africa. That's an entirely different matter. We can talk about it on another day. But he was very interested in coming to certain townships in South Africa, which had a number of South Indians living there. And I think most of the South Indians used to know Tamil, whether they are Pillai or Naidu or whatever. They all spoke Tamil a lot there. So he was interested in the Indian and the South Indian diaspora, and he wanted to visit there, but he couldn't. So I'm happy that we've established a connection again with the fans and admirers of Mr. Sivaji Ganesan in South Africa, and I hope relationship continues, and we do get some of us get to visit South Africa, or if you all visit India, might be we can interact and meet up. And thank you, people in South Africa, for your continuing admiration and interest in Mr. Sivaji Ganesan. And I think he'll live on in our hearts forever, as long as we Tamils and South Indians and Indians continue to love our art and culture. And I personally think one of the people who did do a lot for our Tamil art and culture and Indian history and culture was Mr. Sivaji Ganesan through his movies. Through his various movies, he has brought in our culture and our language. And I can say he's the only actor who's done it not only with Tamil movies and not only Tamil culture. He's also spread culture from the other linguistic populations in India. And through that, I think he is an all-India figure as far as the Indians are concerned. So I think I'm happy that all of us, the Indian diaspora, together is celebrating Mr. Sivaji Ganesan, and this coming is his 94th birthday, and hope for the 95th birthday, we'll see most of you all. We're thinking of having some sort of convention or a get-together conference like that for his 95th birthday, and let's hope we can meet each other that time. Might be that's in a year from now. So that's it, sir. I'll go through the show. Let's go through the talk thing, and then might be I'll talk at the end. Mr. Pillai.
Mika Nandri, sir, Mr. Ramkumar, sir.
Thank you.
And indeed, I'm going to take the liberty of saying that many of us have visited Tamil Nadu. Maybe I have personally about 20 times. You haven't come in, so I'm now inviting you personally to come to Durban, which is the center of Indian, perhaps of Indian residency or settlement. And
Right.
I'm personally inviting you and Dr. Maruthu Mohan and whoever else. But and I promise you, it will open up a totally different window of understanding of the existence that we have here. And just to be perhaps a little more personal, when my third daughter got married 2 years ago, the song I sang to her for her wedding was the song that your dad sang to his daughter in Pasamalare. You remember that song?
That's a Needibadi. The movie is Needibadi. Yeah, yeah,
Needipadi,
yeah.
yes,
I
yes.
love that song.
And
It's
so,
actually one of my favorite songs. Thank you.
yes,
You're reminding me of that song. Yeah.
yes. So we're very, very much intact with that. So I'm inviting you, sir, please, even before the next birthday that we can connect,
Yes.
I do wish that you'll be able to make the trip down.
Yes, sir.
So our next speaker is Dr. Maruthu Mohan, who would give us briefly what we hope to achieve, or what we are aiming at in this discussion, and what we hope to achieve at the end of it.
Yeah, good evening to all. Respected Mr. Ramkumar and Mr. Siva Pillai and all the dignitaries in the stage. See, I got the privilege of doing research about the greatest actor in the world. Maybe so many people will say some names in the Hollywood. For me, after completing my research 7 years in University of Madras, I have come to conclusion that Sivaji Ganesan is the only greatest actor in the world who had enacted so many roles. Even he acted as gods, Lord Shiva, and Itihasa heroes like Karnan, and so many things. And he projected all the freedom fighters of India, start from Veerapandiya Kattabomman up to Bhagat Singh and the Kudikata Kumaran, and so many roles he has played. And he was the icon for the Tamil culture to the entire world. And even I can say, in my research, I have compared his acting with the Tolkapiyam, the grammar literature of Tamil language. So many people, they wanted to reduce the period of Tolkapiyam to 300 years. But as far as my research is concerned, it was written some 6,500 years back. And Mr. Siva Pillai must be knowing, since he is a Tamil scholar. In Tolkapiyam, in Meipoti, there are 32 expressions is being mentioned. And Sivaji Ganesan has done more than that. You can call it as 64 expressions he had given. So I have selected from some of his important movies as illustrations for his acting skill. And also some of the latest people and people who used to watch Hollywood movies, they will say, oh, Stanislavski is the best teacher. So many actors like Brando, Franco Nero, Al Pacino, they are all acted in this. They are studied in that school of thoughts, and they are the greatest actors in the world. Nothing. Even I have bought some 20 books about Stanislavski method acting, and I am very astonished to see that Sivaji Ganesan is very perfectly matched what Stanislavski is expressing in his actor prepares and creating a role and building a character. In all the three books, Sivaji Ganesan is matching perfectly, and because each and every book has got 16 rules, and on all the rules he is matching with that Stanislavski's method acting rules. So I feel that I have done some good conscience to my soul, because I got influence of Nadigar Thilagam Sivaji Ganesan from the age of 4. I have seen the first movie Veerapandiya Kattabomman in 1959, and whenever I get some dejected, I used to see only Sivaji Ganesan movies, and I sing his songs also, whatever the things. And he has given a golden period for Tamil industry when he combined and acted with the direction of director Bhim Singh, and with Kannadasan and M.S. Vishwanathan combination, T.M. Soundarajan combinations. So many movies, they have taught so many things. The love of brother and sister, and so among the brothers, and loving towards the society, and the duties of a citizen to any of the country, and how to love your mother tongue. And Sivaji Ganesan was, you all know, his dialect delivery, it's unique, and that starts from Parasakti itself, and his diction while pronouncing even a single word in Tamil, that's very great. So I'm very, I think the God has blessed me to take the research point of Nadigar Thilagam Sivaji Ganesan, and I have completed my research thesis into book, which comes to 1,500 pages, and very soon it will be released at Chennai, and I hope to meet you all in Durban with that book, along with Mr. Ramkumar. So I think for me, this is enough, because a lot of people are waiting to say about the impact on them by Sivaji Ganesan. So I'm Mr. Pillai. I'm concluding my talk by this way. Nandri, vanakkam.
Make Nandri, sir. So I suppose if somebody asks you, Yarikaga, you'd say Sivaji Ganesan.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's my pleasure now to ask Mr. Siva Pillai, and thank you, Mr. Siva Pillai, for it was your kind introduction to Dr. Maruthu Mohan, which enabled this session here today. So Mr. Siva Pillai is a very, very active Tamil cultural activist, and I know you've made several attempts here to engage people and to teach people the spoken language. Thank you very much. So Mr. Siva Pillai will take us through perhaps a visual representation of some of the movies of the great Sivaji Ganesan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pillai, and other members of the group today. And I must thank Mr. Mohan, Dr. Mohan, for me to get his introduction to me. And we have become very friendly, and we are doing most of the presentation via Zoom, by which we are meeting so many people. And also I welcome Chandrama. He is one of my students from the Tamil language class coming from London. Thank you very much, Amma. Thank you for participating in this function. And these are some of my thoughts, which I have prepared for an hour because of the time restriction given by Mr. Pillai. I come to select only one or two and then finish my talk. If time permits, then we will do the rest. Surprisingly, when Sivaji Ganesan was young, he did not get much of his studies, but amazing how his school teachers missed out on that memorization exercise that he has. The greatest strength of Sivaji progress has been ability to reach them 100% completely without a slightest hesitation, no matter how many pages of verse there are, no matter what kind of Tamil they are. So that's the privilege, that's a great gift for him. When he acts, he doesn't do it as a job. He did everything from his heart. And from his dress, we can say which film he's acting. Sivaji Ganesan was adamant and firm, whatever role the artist offered, he would accept without any slightest hesitation. That is why everything his hair to the tip tell us the story. None of us have seen Kattaboman, Karnan, Lord Shiva, and so on. Whatever parts he did, we remember that's the way he looks like. But there's no evidence for that. There's no longer chance for that. But we know Sivaji Ganesan. They could all have been like this. You can say with your eyes closed. So we'll start from there. This is the first film he acted, Parasakti, 1950. And first one you can see. Can you all hear the voice?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
இந்த நிலை கட்ட மனிதரை நினைந்து விட்டால், நிலை கட்ட மனிதரை நினைந்து விட்டால் நெஞ்சு பொறுக்குதில்லையே, நெஞ்சு பொறுக்குதில்லையே.
Another one you can see. This is the one you all remember this one. This is the first movie which I have seen. I was 9 years old when I was seeing this picture. I paid 60 pence those days in the gallery class, and there's no bench. We put the sand, we make the sand as a platform and sit on there and watch the black and white movie in 1950s. It's a great thing anyway. There was pressure. Still, I remember those films I have seen so many times. Next one I'm going to show you in early 1960 or 61, this film came in, Pasamala. You all know that. காலத்தால் அழியாத அண்ணன் தங்கை காவியம் பாசமலர் வழியாக 60 ஆண்டு முடிந்தாலும் இன்றும் எங்களுக்கு நினைவாக இருக்கிறது. எப்படி ஒரு அண்ணன் தம்பி இருக்க வேண்டும், குடும்ப உறவு இருக்க வேண்டும் என்பதை தனது முகபாவங்களாக காட்டுகிறது. ஃபேஸ் ஆக்ஷன் you can see that. You can see this dialogue.
Baba, I'll take you there. And he took me and introduced to Appa. When I told him about introduce myself, my name is Mathivanan. I am from Kumarapalayam. I am the classmate of Ramkumar. When I said that, he was very, very happy. Oh, you are classmate of Ramu, very, very bale. He said that come and see the thing. And he was very, very, very happy. Everybody was surprised to see his association closely, his expression. So that was the first meeting of meeting him. Then, of course, I met him so many times. When Chinnathambi shooting happened, Prabhu called me, come to my house. Then myself and my wife went to his house and saw Appa. When I saw Appa, he said he was very, very happy that it seems that you took care of Prabhu very well in when the shooting was held in Kumarapalayam. He was very, very happy. So that was the second meeting with him, I would say. And after that, of course, we became very close. And Prabhu and our family has become very close. And of course, we have been working together in a great way. Once I would like to say that is patriotism. Actually, Sivaji Appa is a good actor. Everybody know. I don't have to say anything about it. And he is a good human being, I would say. Good human being. At the same time, three things mainly he exposed himself. One is that his patriotism, Nadu, country. Another is the family. The family, the film Pavam Mandi Pasamalar is a movie where he shows the relationship between a brother and a sister. Like that, so many movies he has made exposing about the family relationship, how a brother should be, how a sister should be. Like that, so many things. And patriotism, I told you, so many movies he has done it. Then spirituality. So many movies he has done spirituality. He's become God by himself. Everybody are worshipping himself as a God. Like that, every character he has made so that people will worship him as a God-like. So like that, his exposition is not only towards acting, but also socially. Socially, people should know, people should understand. Because Veerabandiya Kattabomman, people don't know. Only after seeing him, we know. Vavu Chidambaranath, we don't know about his caliber. Only after seeing him. Like that, so many characters he has done. So his exposure towards, actually, is not only the actor, as I told you, is a good human being. Like humanity is there. Once he told me that when I was introduced that I am from Kumarapalayam, he was very much stunned. He said, are you from Kumarapalayam? Kumarapalayam is a place. It gave me the second birth. He was born in Vettaichidal in Tanjore district. And on 1928, October 1st, what is birthday. And second birth, he said, it was happened in Kumarapalayam. At the time, the Mettur Dam was not constructed. Kaveri River is flowing in Kumarapalayam, just backside of my house. Kaveri River is flowing. When he heard about it, he was very much surprised that I am from the place. And he said that when he came for drama, so at the age of 7 years, he went for drama. Then at the time, he was making drama in my place in Kumarapalayam.
that is in Namakkal district. Before that, it was in Salem district. Then he said that I came for drama. Then they go for taking bath in the river. Those time no bathroom and everything. They go to the river and take bath. When he was taking bath, there is no dam. The water flow was not controlled. So the flood came immediately. So he was taken in the flood and he went to the river. Luckily, one person caught his hair. At the time, there is no small cutting hair. It's a big hair. Even children have to have. So he put in the hand and pulled him and put him in the bank of the river. Then he said, at the time I had a second birth. That's the Kumarapalayam. I would say that the autobiography has made. So he has said about the history of his life in that Professor Narayanaswamy has made the autobiography book. Then he told me, bring the photograph of Kaveri River in Kumarapalayam. I want to put that photograph in the book. It appears in this autobiography. It is been translated into English. At the same time, it has been published in Tamil. So likewise, his association in Kumarapalayam. So as I told you, he's a great personality and is acting only is not the exposure, but also the humanity. He used to live. He used to love people. So whoever goes his house, he's a philanthropist. He's a big philanthropy. He doesn't know. In fact, Madhya Unavu midday meal scheme was introduced by Kamarajar in the state. And at that time, he gave 50% of the money of the whole state he gave to Kamarajar. And Kamarajar said that I want to give your name for this scheme. He said, no, I am not giving the money for the name purpose. Just take the money. He has given the full money. So when...
That's great. Yeah.
Am I all
That's
right?
great. Yeah. Sorry, Karen. Yeah. Now that's really fantastic. That's a new dimension of Sivaji that I suppose many of us didn't know. Yes.
Thank you.
But thank you, sir. That's very kind of you. That's really a lovely tribute to the human side of Sivaji Ganesan, which I suppose not many of us in this part of the world is exposed to. Yeah.
Yes.
But Nandri, Mika Nandri, Mr. Subramanian, and I appreciate your input and your participation, sir.
Thank you very much. And nice speaking to you. Only one more thing I want to say. When Lal Bahadur Shastri was the Prime Minister, at the time, war was happening. So the meeting was happening with Lal Bahadur Shastri, and he asked Kamalamma, come, we'll go and meet the Prime Minister. So Kamalamma was ready. He said, where are all your jewels? He wore all those. Not enough. We're going to meet the Prime Minister, where all of your jewels, more than about 150, 200 sovereigns of gold, the Amma was wearing. He went and met Lal Bahadur Shastri, and he asked Kamalamma to remove all the jewels from her neck. So she removed all the jewels, everything, all the jewels valued about so many crores of rupees. So he has donated everything to the government. So likewise, he's philanthropist. He's very good. So likewise, so many examples we can say. I am very glad. I want to say one more word about Maruthu Mohan. He has done a research on life of Sivaji Ganesan, and everybody should make a research of life of Sivaji Ganesan. We should be not only he's a big actor. Everybody know he's a big actor. I don't have to say anything else. He's a big human being. Like him, we should be a human being. So I got a lot of stories to tell about him. I am very glad to be associated with this great forum. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies.
Mika Nandri, sir. Mika Nandri.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Mala is still having difficulty. So, if you don't mind, I would like to, in the typical Western fashion, lady and gentlemen, I'd like to start off with Mala giving her input on the impact that Sivaji has had in her life. And what I may do is I'll connect her via my tablet video call, if you don't mind. So because she's not able to get through the sound. Mala, we can't hear you on your. So if you don't mind, I'm going to call you on this. So I have Mala here. Mala, can you hear us? Mala? Yeah, okay. So we need you to speak up a little more. Hello.
Pick it up, Mohan.
Connected to you on the big on the screen.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mala Lakshmanan is perhaps one of the greatest flag bearers of the Tamil language. She is a radio announcer on national radio, and she is one of the very few people that connects us to the Tamil language every week, and certainly one of the icons of the Tamil world. And Mala Lakshmanan, and I think she'll speak a little in Tamil as well. Mala, speak.
நன்றிங்க. அனைவருக்கும் இனிய மாலை வணக்கம். எல்லோரும் இந்த அற்புதமான ஜூம் சூழ்நிலையை சந்திக்க எனக்கு அளவில்லா சந்தோஷம். சிவாஜி கணேசன் பேரே கேட்டாலும் மக்களுக்கு உடனே மகிழ்ச்சி உருவாக்கி வருகிறது. The name itself, Sivaji Ganesan, brings a lot of memories for people. We all have agreed and spoke extensively about his diction, his speaking of the language, his acting ability. But in so doing, in the South African context, he's helped the Tamil language. By watching these movies, we've learned a lot of the language, but also is a sentiment, the family sentiment, the Tange, Anand Tange sentiment, that mother, parent and child so excellently and relate. Whenever was Sivaji movie screening on the big screen in those days, we used to wait in queues to get in. They used to have extra shows because we know that it's going to be a show hit. Also, I think the way he looked, lots of people thought that all men in India looked like that, or all men in India behaved that way, because you could see that he had a lot of maryade and came across, and a lot of love. And for someone to be a leading star in, I think, about 250 movies, I think that record can never ever be broken. That itself talks volumes about the kind of person, the kind of actor that he is. And I like it when I see that the family is still so interested to Ramkumar avargal and Prabhu avargal. And hi for Appa, and that is such a wonderful thing. The songs as well have made him famous as well, because people associate certain songs only with him, and those songs, when you hear them, and often by T.M. Soundarajan, those songs, then it brings back emotion and brings back some Malaram Nenevugal to the people. And you'll always get someone calling and saying, I remember my late dad or my late mom, she took me to watch this movie, and this is how Sivaji was, etc. So I think the kind of character that he portrayed showed the kind of person that he really was. And I was so surprised now to hear the kind of benevolence and the kind of philanthropy that he's done. And I think the children are continuing to do that as well. He's made a great, great, great impact on cinema in South Africa amongst. There's not followers. If you ask them about Sivaji Ganesan, nobody, I think, would say is someone that they don't know. Is that he's had that kind of impact. எல்லோருக்கும் தெரியும். And ரசித்து பார்ப்பாங்க. Even up to today, you have older people will still talk about certain vasanams from certain movies. And then we have Anna like Soli Pillai avargal, when he goes out and does these kacheris, his choice of songs, and most of them picturized on Sivaji Ganesan avargal, brings out this kind of fervor, brings out this kind of love. So for me, the great thing is he's contributed so much to the Tamil language. And in our situation here in South Africa, he has contributed hugely to the entertainment industry.
Mika Nandri Mala, thank you very much for that eloquent, thank you. That was Mala Lakshmanan, as I said, one of the icons of our Tamil world. Our next contributor is Mr. Devan Nair. Mr. Devan Nair is a presenter on radio, and he is one of the longest running film critics for the South Indians, and as some people say, he's an encyclopedia on Sivaji Ganesan and Sivaji movies. So I'd like to welcome Devan Nair.
Ellarukum vanakkam. I think certainly whether people realize it or not, Tamil cinema can be divided into two categories. It is before Sivaji Iyer and after Sivaji Iyer. It is not possible to be part of the film industry without having been influenced by him in some way or the other. Many people don't realize that he was the pioneer in many kinds of roles, many types of films. So nowadays it's easy with the number of movies that we have to say we can do this and we can do that. But when he acted in those roles, he was the first to play those roles. He was the first to actually encompass all those kind of values on the screen. So now it is easy to look back and say and compare the sensibilities of filmmaking then to the sensibilities of filmmaking now, which is vastly different. But if you look at the journey that Sivaji Iyer traveled in terms of his acting in the 1950s and the 1960s also changed with the way films and film sensibilities changed. If, for example, we had to compare his acting from the 60s to a performance like he did in Mudal Mariyade, or a performance as small as a role as it was in Devar Magan, you can see how his acting evolved with the times and developed with the times. I also admired his versatility and his willingness to experiment with his roles. If you look at a film like Par Magale Par, now he was at the peak of his career at the time, yet on screen, he played a person who was quite despicable, someone with really negative shades, so much so that even Emma Radha's character in the film was better than the character played by Sivaji Ganesan. Now that is the kind of versatility that he showed throughout, unafraid to take different types of roles, portray different kind of emotions. And like Dr. Mathivanan Iyer also alluded to, what Sivaji Ganesan Iyer did off the screen is just as important as what he did on the screen, because in many ways it was the same. Again, Dr. Mathivanan spoke about his patriotism. That is beyond question. And we saw his foray into politics, and we also know why he left politics, but his patriotism never ever left. His sense of discipline, both on and off the screen. Now, he played so many roles in so many romantic films, but yet there was never ever a scandal about Sivaji Iyer. And that tells you about his personality. We also look at the kind of example that he set in terms of his relationship with others. Like, for example, we spoke about the philanthropy. It also extended to his fellow actors and his fellow musicians. The kind of relationship he shared with MGR and being instrumental in having Ulagam Sutrum Valiban released when nobody wanted to release the film because of political pressure. Now, these are the kind of things that many people do not know about Sivaji Iyer. because people only know him as an actor, but they don't realize the kind of influence he has had in every sphere of filmmaking, in every sphere of Indian and Tamil life. The kind of cultural values that he showed to the world is there for all of us to see even now. And that is why when people talk about Tamil cinema, it is not possible to talk about Tamil cinema without talking about Sivaji Iyer. He is the acting university. And every one of us who have seen him act will know exactly why he was such a powerful presence, which to me is still baffling, why it took the Indian government so long to recognize him with the higher civilian awards. And it was a matter of shame for me that the French government honored him with the Chevalier Award even before the Indian government did. But this is something that we cannot change, but we can celebrate the life of this great, great man. We can live every day of, every aspect of his feelings through his wonderful, wonderful films, which will stand there forever for generations to come. It is not only the older people who love and watch his films, because there are lots and lots of young people under 20 who not only watch and enjoy, but revere this fantastic actor because there is so much one can learn from him. As I said, if you look at the kind of dual roles that he did, I know I'm running thin on time. Just to make one reference, in his 200th film, Trisulam, he played identical twins as well as the father. Now, identical twins, they looked exactly the same. Yet, when one looked at the screen, one knew immediately whether it was Shankar or whether it was Guru, simply by his facial expression and his body language. Many people have played dual roles and multiple roles. But to live a character like the way Sivaji Iyer did takes a special kind of talent. And that is an example that all of us can learn from, and certainly every actor should learn from. Mikka Nandri.
Mikka Nandri, Devin. Well, now you know why Devin is known as the encyclopedia of Tamil films in this country. And it really, it's a perspective that even I am surprised with all my eulogies of Sivaji Ganesan. There's some facts that I never knew of, and that's really wonderful. Thank you, Mikka Nandri, Devin. Our next contributor is Derek Pubalan Pillai, known as Derek. He is a former diplomat of the South African government in Jordan and a very strong Tamil cultural activist. Is the trustee of one of the very large temples, South Indian temples in Durban. I'd now like to invite Mr. Pubalan, known as Derek Pillai.
Sri Solomon Padasadi Pillai, Master of Ceremonies, Sri G. Prabhu, Sri G. Ramkumar, Dr. M.S. Mathivanan Subramanian, Dr. KVS Maruthu Mohan, Dr. Siva Pillai, other South African guests, Yen Wullum Kaninda Vanakette Tiruvitthi Kolginder. It is indeed an honor and privilege to be participating in Nadigar Thilagam Sivaji Ganesan's 94th birthday year celebration. And I feel honored to be part of what I think has been a first time ever in South Africa. I'm going to try and be brief. I was born in Clearwood, which was also called Little Mumbai. The Clearwood was occupied mostly by South Indians, and you had first generation people who came over to work in the sugarcane fields and second generation Indians, which were brought over by the colonialists. Many of them were very illiterate as far as English is concerned. Now, I lived about 200 meters away from Irani Cinema. and the importance of the Sivaji Ganesan films was the education part, especially when one speaker spoke about the Tolkappiyam Tamil. Now, there was very, very little literature around during those times. And watching films like Veerapandiyan Kattabomman, Raja Raja Choran, and of course the great Tiruvilayadabal Puranam. Who would forget Patam Nane? Now, a lot of the materials from these films was used in what we had during those days, and we still do, the Natal Tamil Vedic Society I.S.T feds, where E.S.T Nadigam competitions were held. Now, over and above, I don't want to go into the expose about the education aspect of it, but the high moral values, Devamagam, Tevamagan, Tirushuvarum, Deepam, Padayappa, and so forth and so forth. But then people began to move out of Clearwood, who were displaced by the apartheid government. And then there was the township called Chatsworth. And then came Vasanta Malige. How great, people now moving into their own houses and singing Yarakaga. How beautiful. How many of us can forget the uncles who had a couple of drinks and start singing Nale Mudal Kudikkamata Satya Mani Tangam. Now, there's no hint to our master of ceremonies. I think his wife's name short, he could have called her Tangam. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on. But another interesting part, you know, my wife, Bindu, is from Kerala. And the turning point in my life was I knew nobody in India. And her father was an army officer and a very, very strict one at that. Now, when I went to propose to her, the father asked me, how dare I come as an African? Of course, I was a diplomat, but as an African to India, not knowing anybody, and just ask for his daughter. And he asked me to leave. So I had to ask Bindu, please tell me more about your father. And he said, no, Derek, he's a Sivaji Ganesan fan. So there it was. And then I had, during those days, we used to carry what is called a dictaphone. And in my dictaphone, I had stored Paluti Varatakili. And I played it while I was waiting in the lounge, and he heard it. And he came down and he continued the song. And the rest was history. But then I had to close the deal with my song. And 1965, Neela Vanam, opening lines, oh, little flower, see your lover, see your my chitte kanil patta patta secret konda lover. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope Malaka plays that for me the next time. I think from my side, I'd like to see that the South Indian Film Awards be held in Durban, South Africa, and Nadigar Thilagam Sivaji Ganesan gets remembered posthumously at those awards, it would be great for our South African community. And in closing, to Sri Prabhu, Sri Ramkumar Ganesan, Srimati Tenmoji Ganesan, Srimati Ganesan, Vikram Prabhu, Sivaji Dev, Ashwarya Prabhu, Villipuram, Chennaya, Mandraya Ganesamurthy has left an indelible impression, not only on myself and my family, but in all South Africans of Indian origin. Vanakkam.
Mika Nandri, Eric Kuvalan, thank you very much for that lovely insight. And our next guest is Krishnan Nair. Krishnan Nair is one of the few male exponents of the Bharatanatyam, having graduated from the Kalakshetra College in India, and his father knew Sivaji Ganesan personally. I'd like to invite Krishnan Nair to give his perspective.
Welcome, a very good evening to all of you. Thank you so much, Solly, for giving me the opportunity of being a part of this wonderful forum. And I think it also gives me the opportunity to share with you how much a difference the legend had, not only in my life, but also in the life of many musicians in South Africa. I would love to talk about my dad first. He was a very, very close friend of late Sivaji Ganesan in 1963, the year that I was born. He had left to Chennai, more especially to meet with all the illustrious musicians, firstly, and in doing so, he was introduced to the movie houses by Sri K.V. Mahadevan, who introduced him to Sivaji Ganesan. And I remember that my dad telling me that during the breaks, when they were offset, Dad would be there right next to Sivaji Ganesan and assist him with a cigarette, in lighting his cigarette. And Dad also brought one of those boxes. It's, we don't find that nowadays. It was a very special box, tin box that my dad had brought back as a mentor. And that was just one of the stories. But later on, through the influence of Appa, we got to see most of the movies by Sivaji Ganesan. So from the entertainment point of view, I know of musicians, they're late now, that used to go to the movie theaters like Rani Theatre in Clarewood, Vijay Cinema, to Odeon's. They would go not once, but many times, only to learn the song. Because there were no lyrics at that point in time. They could not write the lyrics down, but by watching it many, many times, they were able to learn the song and then perform that on stage. Or then, because at that point in time, there were many musical or orchestras that were formed based on what they have learned from what they have seen in movies. So the likes of S.V. Govender, the likes of the late Mr. Bela Kiston, and up to today, Mr. Bela Kiston was one of those musicians who was a hardened fan of the late Sivaji Ganesan and always sang his songs. And so were many other musicians that learned indirectly from watching those movies, and of course, coming from the late Sivaji Ganesan. So, and many like that I've learned. So it was not only the family values, it was not only of building great nation and being a patriotic person, but also getting people to learn music. Okay, and how I had come in the year 1977, my neighbor introduced me to a movie, Partam Bardamam. And I had not seen a male dance before, and we thought that dance was only meant for females. So my neighbor introduced me and she asked me, you know what, I'll be taking part in Mr. S.V. Govinda's concert and it'll be great if you could learn this dance. I said, okay, I'll take a chance. And I watched Partam Bardamam. And over the next couple of weeks, I learned the dance at a very tender age. And I thought it was a fun thing to do, but not realizing where this fun event was going to take me in my career. So I learned the dance, and it was well received by everybody, seeing a male perform on stage. So every time there was a concert, I would be there together with my guru, and we used to perform this. And about 8 years or 10 years down the line, I found myself in Kalakshetra. So that was the turning point in my life, and how Sivaji Ganesan in his own way impacted my life in becoming a graduate of Bharatanatyam. And that was a great thing. And I owe my dear respect to the late Sivaji Ganesan. I wish the family well. And I hope that everything that we have discussed, the 95th anniversary, it would be great to have it in South Africa. It would be great to have a lot of things in South Africa, but we look forward to being a part of this wonderful celebration. Thanks to each and every one of you. Thank you, Soliana, for this wonderful opportunity, and wish everyone all the best.
Thank you, Nandri, Krishnan Naya. Thank you. I greatly appreciate your perspective. Our next contributor is Kiru Naidu. Kiru is a political commentator. He works within some government structures and provincially, and he is part of an initiative called the Tamil Heritage Initiative. So I'd like to welcome Kiru Naidu.
Vanakkam, Sanmona Ninonke. Just such a great delight to be able to join you in this session in honor of the great Sivaji Ganesan. Let me greet my guru, Mala Lakshmanan, and all of the distinguished people on this panel. Immediately, respected Soli Pillai asked me to participate in this. My thoughts turned to my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, Kanyama Govindarajulu, who introduced us to Sivaji Ganesan and the great heritage of Tamil film. And this was a woman who was born around 1917, 1918 on a sugar plantation in the southern part of KwaZulu-Natal, just some distance south of Durban, who was complete strangers with the schoolroom. But she had this massive understanding and appreciation of Tamil culture, but not so much Tamil language. For being people on the plantations, they too were denied learning the script and the great literature. And I'm very pleased that some generation later, my father was to set up a Tamil school, and I was a very bad student, but thankfully learned something in those classes. And a tribute to my teachers there was that song, dance, culture, film was such an important part of that learning. And no name was as big as Sivaji Ganesan in that milieu. In fact, in our home in Chatsworth, and I just want to introduce a little bit of the biographical detail into it. We lived in a little tenement building in Chatsworth, and on the walls of that house were displayed all the greats of Tamil cinema. And these were pictures that were cut off calendars. So at the end of the calendar year, we'd snip away at a good picture. And I recall with such great fondness, my grandmother's home, where Sivaji Ganesan enjoyed pride of place. And she went to the cinema every week. Derek spoke about the Rani Cinema and others, and we had in our place in Chatsworth, the Adams Cinema, the Odeon Cinema. And my grandmother would put on her very best clothes. And this was a simple woman, but to go to the cinema, she put on her very best clothes. And we would wait for her to return home and tell the story. And of course, there were other times when we had access to this great cinema, when during weddings and other celebrations, we would string up in the backyard a screen from a white bed sheet, hire film reels, and these movies would be flighted right deep into the night before the wedding the next day. So those are such great memories. And as I look back into the detail of that cinema, some of the movies that just jump at me, Parasakti, Veerapandya Kettabomman. And that was the movie, I don't think the apartheid ideologues had any idea what impact that movie would have on sentiment around the freedom struggle. And, you know, to this day, we can pound our chests and use the name of Veerapandya Kettabomman as giving us pride of people. And Selvan, I hope, might refer to this, that in the awards that the Dravidian Collective puts out each year in Durban, one of the awards is named in honor of Veerapandya Kettabomman. And that had much to do with the fact that we were able to learn this history from Sivaji Ganesan. Let me also say to the sons of our great icon, thank you for the hospitality that your mother and father afforded so many of us from this distant part of Africa in your home, because my aunt who had traveled to India, my grandmother had never been, and she was born in South Africa, but my aunts had traveled there, and they came back with these very precious pictures taken in your homes. And that hospitality is something we cherish greatly. I'm also glad that Appa did not visit South Africa, because in this time, we defended the cultural boycott of the apartheid regime at it was a great price that South Africans paid for that, to be denied their cultural heritage. But in Sivaji Ganesan and the various roles he played, I mean, we were able to see the great Marathi hero through that name, and learn so much about the freedom struggle in India through his various roles. But it gave us great pride as a people of Tamil origins that we knew there was a rich and deep culture that came from the Indian subcontinent. And even though we were cut off by politics and a great and grand ocean, we could appreciate these movies, the song. And just as Dr. Maruthu Mohan sang at that opening segment, I just, filled with pride, because I could hear the 78 vinyl records in my granny's home with so many of those songs. So as we have this tribute to Sivaji Ganesan, and I must say that one of the things that warmed my heart, I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, when a Google Doodle was prepared in his honor. And I thought that was there, the international community recognizing this high point in Tamil cinema and Tamil culture. So all told, I'm just so delighted to be invited to share this session with you, and also just to reflect on my grandmother's name, Kanyama Govindarajulu, because there was this unlettered woman who was able to introduce us to this high culture of Tamil language, film, and celebration of a great heritage. I thank you for having had me join you in this session.
Thank you, Kiru. Welcome. And talking about Veerapandiya Kattabomman, when we grew up, and we wanted to act and show some bravado, we'd always say Nanda Veerapandiya Kattabomman. It was part of our clarion call in those days. I would like to make a little contribution. I was very fortunate. I am now, I'll be 69 years old this year. But when I was about 6 years, my grandmother chose me out of the extended family to go to Tamil school. And from that point, the love for Tamil just was instilled in me, and it became infused within me. And I always said that there's a fallacy that people believe that you can't fuse the East with the West. I've been able to demonstrate that you can. And you must understand also, some of you will know the history of South Africa. Our people, the recorded history is that they came here from 1860, and of course the Tamarans were the poorest of the lot because we came here as the sugarcane plantation workers. So we were never able to go back. Our forefathers didn't have the money to go back to India for many decades. As a result, we lost our family ties. But what kept us connected emotionally and culturally were films like this that came through. And I think greatest of all of those films were the films of Sivaji Ganesan and of course MGR. Now, my perspective is a little different in that I've been an actor on the English stage for about 30 years and on television as well. And I came to, and through my Tamil education, I am able, எழுத முடியும், படிக்க முடியும், பாட முடியும், ஆனா ரொம்ப நல்லா பேச முடியாது because we don't speak it often. So I was able to keep up the Tamil, and I started Tamil singing from a very young age. And when I got to a point about 20 years ago to make a choice between my English side and my Tamil side, I chose my Tamil side. And hence I'm now a prolific Tamil singer, devotional singer. And of course, I give little talks. But for me as an actor, my perspective of Sivaji Ganesan, I mean, we've all said it, everybody knows it. There is no greater thespian than Sivaji Ganesan. And I know, and many people eulogize MGR as well, who was also a great actor. But there was for me a great difference, and I would great respect to MGR and the MGR family. The great difference for me between Sivaji Ganesan and MGR, when Sivaji played a role, you felt it. You were part of it. When MGR played a role, yes, you felt a little of it and you were a little part of it, but you didn't feel it in your heart. When Sivaji was playing and the emotions that he exuded, when he cried, you cried. When he laughed, you felt a joy in your heart. And that was the difference between Sivaji Ganesan and anybody else. When you heard him say, குடிப்பதற்கு ஒரு மனம் இருந்தால் அவளை மறந்து விடலாம், அவளை மறப்பதற்கு ஒரு மனம் இருந்தால் கொடுத்து விடலாம், ஆனால் இருப்பதே ஒரு மனது, நான் என்ன செய்வேன். You felt it. It was part of you. That emotion that it brought out was the great difference between Sivaji Ganesan. And as somebody said earlier, whatever the role he played, I imagine that he must have actually researched the emotions that each role demanded, and he was able to bring that out. I mean, what made people fall in love with Sivaji Ganesan from the youngest to the oldest? What made people say, I'm Sivaji Ganesan? What made people eulogize him? It was this differentiating factor. And as Dr. Maruthu Mohan said right at the outset, there will never be, and there can never ever be, a greater actor on the Tamil screen, and perhaps arguably on the Western screen as well, as Sivaji Ganesan. Because once again, the greatness of an actor is also through perhaps can be related to the spectrum of roles that he plays. And I think there are very few actors. For me, in the English world, Robin Williams is the only person that comes close to having played an array of characters. And certainly even Sivaji Ganesan surpasses even Robin Williams on the array of roles and the emotions, rather the roles and the different characters that he played. And it was not, and the characters that he played for us spanned the entire spectrum of emotions. So he was such a versatile actor that everybody wanted to connect to Sivaji Ganesan. So for me, the greatness of his acting was through his ability to draw out the emotions from all of us, and the character. We became one with his character. And another defining quality of Sivaji Ganesan, which perhaps only actors would really know, is what I call timing. I knew this because my mentor on the stage was one of the greatest playwrights in this country. His name was Satyaseelan Gurulingam. He was the only Tamilan in Africa to win the Commonwealth Writers Award. He's now sadly passed on. And he used to call me the Sivaji Ganesan of the English stage. And the one reason why he did that was for timing. Now, timing in the acting world means that when you display an emotion, you must know when to start and when to stop. Because if you don't stop it quick enough, you can border on being melodramatic. If you don't start it early enough, you then don't capture the emotions. Sivaji Ganesan had this infinite ability to know exactly when to start an emotion and when to end it, so that you felt this entire emotion. And that is the aspect of timing, and there is no equal. With Sivaji Ganesan, there is no equal. He didn't always have to cry out loud to get your emotion, just those expressions on his face, just the feeling that exuded out of his face. You could feel that emotion. Your tears swelled up in your eyes, your throat, your lumps developed in your throat, and you felt every emotion. So for me, there is no greater actor technically and otherwise. And I saw this from a technical perspective because I'm a bit of an actor snob in that I hate bad acting. I don't like bad acting. And today in our modern films, there's such a dearth of good character acting. And somebody mentioned earlier his diction. I mean, the Tamil that Sivaji Ganesan spoke was sublime, absolutely sublime. There is no equal. I mean, when you hear, unfortunately for people like us in the different part of the world, we sometimes now watch some of the movies, the Tamil movies, which speak the very gutter Tamil, or the kitchen Tamil as we call it. And we always say for us, for people of my generation, Sivaji's Tamil was like Shakespeare in English. It was each word and each elocution was raised 1,000 different meanings. That's the greatness of Sivaji Ganesan. And unfortunately, as Shakespeare said in Julius Caesar, when comes such another, there will never be another Sivaji Ganesan. There can never be a Sivaji Ganesan. It's a whole new ethos. It's a different ethos. It's a different generation. It's a different appreciation. And Sivaji Ganesan will live on through his films, through his spirit, through the legacy he has left behind. Sivaji is and will always be the greatest. And for me, I've sung many of the songs in my shows and so on. Not because it was TMS's song more than it was Sivaji Ganesan's song. And one of the famous one that I sang always, it's one of my favorites. It's a pity we don't have time, but இதோ எந்தன் தெய்வம் முன்னாலே நான் ஒரே ஒரு புன்னகைய கண்டேனே இதோ எந்தன் தெய்வம் முன்னாலே நான் ஒரே ஒரு புன்னகைய கண்டேனே பாசமுள்ள பார்வையிலே கடவுள் வாழ்கிறான் அவன் கருணை உள்ள நெஞ்சினிலே கோயில் கொள்கிறான் இதோ எந்தன் தெய்வம் முன்னாலே நான் ஒரே ஒரு புன்னகைய கண்டேனே Long live the king of cinema. Long live the spirit of Sivaji Ganesan. There can be, there is, and there will never be a greater actor than Sivaji Ganesan. With that, thank you. I'd like to now ask Selvan Naidu. Selvan Naidu is the curator of what we call the 1860 Heritage Center, which documents the history of the Indians and their arrival in this country. And one day when you have the pleasure of visiting us, that's one of the places that you will definitely go to. He's one of the few younger generation of Tamarans who is keeping up the flag flying high with his involvement in the Tamil culture and the Tamil activism. I'd like to introduce Mr. Selvan Naidu. He'll say the vote of thanks as well.
Vanagam Om Saravanabhava, San Bonani Nonke. I'd like to thank the universe and for conspiring to give us this gift of Sivaji Ganesh. It is indeed a privilege and a great opportunity to move the vote of thanks. Many of you have forgot to mention the great style that Sivaji Ganesan brought to us South Africans. I remember my father with his beautiful long locks and the brill cream. Is all because of how handsome Sivaji Ganesan was. And that style certainly transcended to the children that we have today. So, this great style that we have is largely because, as Kiru had mentioned with the cultural boycott, the only form of culture that we were exposed to was the films. And so that style that we saw with the handsome Sivaji Ganesan is what translated to the style that our parents exuded so brilliantly in the 70s and 80s and so on. I'd also like to thank the institutes that brought this together, and that's the Tamil Cultural Research Foundation, Viewpoints Club, and Agnishwaram, who Soli is so much part of. I'd like to thank the sons of Sivaji Ganesan, and I do hope that you do come to South Africa one day, and that's Mr. Prabhu and Mr. Ramkumar. I'd like to thank Mr. KVS Maruthu Mohan, and indeed I'd like to invite you to South Africa to be able to host these future celebrations on Sivaji Ganesan. I'd like to thank Siva Pillai, an ambassador worldwide, and the sterling work that you do in London in propagating Tamil throughout the world. The chief guest, Dr. M.S. Mathivanan, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Our South African participants are Kamala Lachmanan, Devan Nair, Kiru Naidu, Pubalan Pillai, Krishnan Nair, and of course, our last thanks go out to Soli Pillai, who brought this program so beautifully together. Thank you, Anna. It's been a pleasure to be able to listen to you and everyone in being able to listen to the genius and the tribute to Sivaji Ganesan. Mika Nandri.
Mika Nandri, thank you, Selvan. Appreciate that. And I'd like to now call on Mr. Ramkumar to perhaps give us his closing remarks on what you would have heard today.
Yes, Mr. Soli Pillai and Mr. Siva Pillai and Mathivanan, Maruthu Mohan, Mala Lakshmanan, Devan Nair, Derek Pillai, Krishnan Nair, and Selvan Naidu. All you guys got together, did one thing. You made me cry most of the time. I am getting old. I might be just a little younger than Soli Pillai, but I don't know why. I think I'm getting emotional as the years go by. I'm not only the son of Sivaji Ganesan, but I also happen to be one of his greatest fans. And so tears come to my eyes naturally when I think about my father and the king of actors. Mr. Soli Pillai said, like you said, king of actors. He didn't take time to research. He did the research in his mind. He never sat and researched a character. What he used to do is, he used to think, I'm playing this character. What would this guy have done in real life? He didn't have any, he used to just sit and imagine. And I remember him a lot of times, he used to get the dialogues early in the night and with the song, he'll have a tape running, the olden tape recorders running in the night. And while lying down, before going to sleep, he'll be listening to the songs and he'll imagining with the lyrics what expression he should give, how he should act. And when the dialogues, I had the privilege of making a few movies with him. And Tirusulam, like somebody mentioned, was produced by our company. It was my second film, and I think Mr. Prabhu's first film working in a production. So we got a first-hand look at how an actor prepares, and that's what for me, he's the king of actors. And Mr. Siva Pillai, like you say, you said something, and the first few movies you played, when you played Parasakti, I was in tears, and I thank you being here before in these talk forums, bringing out, celebrating Mr. Sivaji Ganesan, I can say. And Madhi, my friend, my Samandi, he brought out what a patriot my father is. And he felt the country first, then family and spirituality. All this will make a total human being. And Mr. Maruthu is bringing out his superb book. I think it'll be superb. I hope it'll be. I'm sure it'll be superb. I'm using the wrong words. I'm sure it'll be superb. And I think we'll see you in South Africa with the books, Soli. Mr. Mohan's books. And Mala Lakshmanan, the Tamil language diaspora, I think like you said, the social impact Shivaji and his films made. I think, I'm sure you must be doing something like that, you and Krishnan Nair and Devan. I think you can get together and put, use clippings of his movies or his audio and the visual to might be again push to a younger Tamil and Indian diaspora how to learn the language or talk the language. I think that's one way, because I think the audio visual will make a big, large impact, and Mala and the others can do that. And David Nair, are you wondering why he is not been honored? That I'm not being bitter, but mostly because of his choice of lifestyle and the politics in this country and the state kept putting him down for many years. But you cannot keep a star from shining. So that's how he continued shining with all the whitewashing of black paint coming on him. He could go through all that. He feared. He was afraid only for his family and his country. He never was afraid about anybody or about what will happen to him. He just moved on with what he thought was right. And I think he was always right most of the time, and he kept to that. And, Devan, the versatility, you said, that all that naturally, it is inbuilt. And I'm happy about Derek Pillai singing Patum Nane, which one song I see at least once a month or twice a month, and I have it on my phone and my WhatsApp. I keep watching it at least 2-3 times a month. At that time, when there was no special effects, I feel the genius of Sivaji Ganesan, of course, other than Uttama Putran and films like that. In the 1960s, I think it was early 1964, there were no special effect methods, I think. So that song must have been shot over 4 or 5 days. And each character he does with a different music instrument, I feel that is one definitive song which brings out the genius of Mr. Sivaji Ganesan. And Mr. Krishnan Nair, I'm so happy that, about your dad coming here to Kalakshetra and coming to the sets with K.V. Mahadevan to visit my dad. And now I know he's one of the few people I've heard about who shared a cigarette with my dad. My dad he was smoking for some time, and then he gave up about nearly 20 years before he passed away. He gave up smoking. But I'm glad about the music and how he inspired the musicians in South Africa. That's a perspective, which I'm hearing from South Africa. So I think this is a point that Mr. Maruthu Mohan saying, and like Thiru Naidu also said about the freedom struggle, how Kattabomman inspired, because the guys there, the foreign people were ruling them, didn't know the Tamil language. So how Kattabomman and other movies inspired your people to fight for freedom. That's a great perspective. And I think Mr. Maruthu Mohan might have to bring out another book with all these talks that we've been having from different countries. I think Maruthu Mohan has to bring out another book, the viewpoints of you people. And Selvan Naidu, the curator for the museum, you brought about the Indians coming there. We've got a big anthropologist here who brought out a book regarding Indians going to Mauritius and South Africa. And we'll be very happy, sir. I'd be very happy to come and see your museum. And like some of you said, it was the place my father was invited, actually, when he was invited to Durban, was some I don't know whether it was Thiru Naidu or who mentioned that. They said there was a settlement where it's only of Tamils, a lot of Tamils living there. So when these people used to come, they actually wanted him to come to that particular place. And like somebody else mentioned, it's one of the reasons he didn't visit there at all was because of apartheid. And by the time everything started getting good in South Africa, he wasn't, he didn't want to travel much because he was getting sick. But I've been asking Mr. Prabhu to visit South Africa and go to other countries in Africa. None of us in our family have visited Africa. My father has done North Africa. That's only in, I think, Egypt and somewhere there. But there's one country he misses, Africa. And I'm happy all you people in Africa and in South Africa are still celebrating him and keeping his thoughts alive, keeping him in your mind and your hearts. And I thank all of you. I mentioned the names before. I hope to get your telephone numbers and call all of you, sir, later on today and tomorrow, and get through to you and keep in touch with you all. And I'm really want to visit South Africa. Now, after all this emotional turmoil of the last 1 hour, South Africa is a must-visit country for me and my family. Thank you, all of you, and God bless you all. And I'm sure my father, Sivaji and Kamalama, are blessing you all. Thank you.
Make a nandri, Mr. Ramkumar. And I just want to add one last point to what you said about South Africa being one of the greatest support base for Sivaji Ganesan. We used to be the largest population of expatriate Indians outside of India. Some people say Malaysia may have a little more, but certainly if we are not the largest, we are the second largest population of expatriate South Indians. And you can then imagine from that point how big the support was and is. And that's the reason why somebody from your family should visit us here, and you'll be our guest. And you wouldn't have enough time to embrace and take in all the hospitality that we will accord you. But Mika Nandri, and it's been an absolute honor and a privilege to be part of this grouping. Thank you, Dr. Maruthu Mohan, for starting and arranging this. Thank you, Mr. Siva Pillai, for starting and igniting this little flame. But I think it's been quite an experience. And as you said, Mr. Ramkumar, it probably demands a second book from Dr. Maruthu Mohan. But with that, I would like to say thank you, Mikka Nandri. God bless you all. Vanakkam, vanakkam, vanakkam.
Thank you, Mr. Solipillai, for arranging this.
Yeah, Mr. Solipillai, I want to say only one thing. We all should be grateful to Mr. Siva Pillai, who is continuously arranging to bring out all sorts of stuff about Sivaji Ganesan throughout the world. He is the man who contacted you and you gave your number to me. So I have arrangement. And as Mr. Ramkumar said, we are very delighted to see the ardent fans of Sivaji Ganesan in South Africa, because we are
Of course, he had to be. Of course, he had to be a Pillai. I mean,
Yes,
it's no,
yes,
that goes without
yes,
saying.
yes.
Nandri.
மிக்க நன்றி சொல்லி பிள்ளை. மிக்க
Nandri.
நன்றி.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you,
Vanakkam.
Chandrama. All this time you stayed here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all.
And thank you. Sorry, thank you to all our. Thank you to all our participants who didn't speak
Yes,
but who are part of this program. Greatly appreciate Sandra, Mr. Balashanmugam, and a few other people. Mika Nandri. God bless
And thank you for Mr. Madhivanan, who accepted to be as a chief guest of this program.
Yes.
Of course, I was not able to get the connection at the earliest. Anyhow, on time he arrived. Vanakkam ஐயா. வணக்கம் சிவா.
South Africa. நாங்க வரோம். I had been to Durban, I had been to Johannesburg. அதனால கண்டிப்பா நிச்சயம் வருகின்றோம். வந்து நிச்சயமாக we make some many programs on Sivaji Appa. Thank you very much.
And thank you. Thank you for a Viewpoints Club, Mr. Balashanmugam Anand.
I would like to say a couple of words.
Yes.
Yeah, I am Balashanmugam Umapati, son of Umapati. You know, in Chennai, there's a theater called Anand Theater, which is very famous those days. And my father is a very, very close friend of Sivaji Ganesan. And he's also produced the first CinemaScope movie in South India, Sivaji Ganesan portraying as Rajaraja Cholan. It was produced by my father. And I take it as a great privilege and pleasure to assist Maruthu Mohan in bringing this program to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to acknowledge that his father produced Rajaraja Cholan, and when I came to Madras back from school in 1972, one of the first sets I visited was Rajaraja Cholan. And thank you, Bala.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ramkumar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Vanakkam. I will contact you, Mr. Solai, afterwards.
Siva Pillai, very glad to meet you this occasion.
Thank you. Yeah.
Siva Pillai, நம்ம கல்லூரிக்கு வந்திருக்கின்றார். லண்டன் யூனிவர்சிட்டியில தமிழ் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் இருக்கிறாரு. மிகவும் மகிழ்ச்சி உங்களை பார்த்ததுல. வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
வணக்கம் பாலா.
சுரேஷ் குமார் இருக்காங்க. சுரேஷ் குமார், நன்றி சுரேஷ் குமார் ஐயா. சுரேஷ் குமார். Mr. சுரேஷ்.
வணக்கம். அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம்.
வணக்கம் சுரேஷ். வணக்கம்.
சுரேஷ் எனக்கு மருது மோகன் ஐயா தெரியும் வந்து.
எல்லாரும் சிவா பிள்ளை அப்படின்னாங்க. எங்களுக்கு சிவா பில்லர் அவரு. உலக தமிழர்களை ஒன்றிணைக்கும் ஒரு பில்லர் அவர். அதனாலதான் சிவா பில்லர் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க.
சிவா பிள்ளை also called Sivaji Pillai.
சிவாஜி பிள்ளை அவர்.
Yes. You'll be welcome to South Africa.
Yeah. Definitely, I'll come to South Africa. I'll come again to South Africa. Definitely, we'll have a good time there in South Africa.
I mean, you'll be my guest, if for no other reason, but for the reason that we've got the same hairstyle.
Thank you very much.
Nandri, vanakkam.
பார்க்கலாமா ஐயா? பார்க்கலாம்.
கண்டிப்பா பேசுவோம். அப்புறம் பேசுவோம்.
வணக்கம் சுரேஷ்.
வணக்கம் சார்.
வணக்கம் சுரேஷ். தேங்க்யூ. ரொம்ப நன்றி. சந்திராமா கூட போயிட்டாங்க சந்திராமா.
சரி.
She is my student from South Africa for Tamil language.
I see. Okay.
Distance learning.
Okay. நன்றி ஐயா.
நன்றி. பார்க்கலாமா?
ரைட். வணக்கம்.
சுரேஷ் லீவ் பண்ணலாம்.
பேசுவோம் ஐயா.
Okay.